Musicians and other people, for the sake of your creative well-being, you need to avoid burnout at all costs. So, and what is burnout? Burnout just means you don't want to work on your thing, right? I don't have a lot of burnout stories, but actually I do have one, and it was fairly recent, and it actually marks the last time I was working on my other channel. So the song I had in mind was the Forest Maze song from Super Mario RPG. If you don't know it, look it up. It's awesome. I actually got the idea because we inherited a keyboard, like not MIDI, but like a big one, but I could insert it and use it as a MIDI controller. I was like, cool, I'm going to use that and all my other instruments, and that meant my guitar, electric guitar, and the bass, and program the drums. If you ever listen to that song, there's a lot going on, all right? And the song is hard to play just with the lead parts, so there's a lot of tracks. If you don't know what a track is, it's like multiple parts in the song, lots of instruments, because now we were at the Super Nintendo, and I had done songs on the regular Nintendo. If you don't know, the regular Nintendo only had like melody, harmony, kind of a bass, and then like a sound effect, which was like drum, which makes it easy to play those songs. So I was working on it at night, or at least trying to, because I work out in the morning, and then I just had to set it aside. I may be back for that song one day, who knows. But why did this happen? So there were a few reasons, and let's see if you connect with any of these. But for me, in my situation, the project was just too hard. And my situation, my moment in life, I also had a lot of pressure on myself, because around that time, the remake for the game was coming out. And I was trying to get in on the fun while the hype was high. And I stopped playing my own game. I started like looking at other musicians, and they were jumping on the Mario RPG remake hype train, and I just felt like I was getting behind. It's really sad. Right. So I just kept beating my head against the wall. I kept trying until I really started hating the project, which is really sad, because that is probably one of my top 5 games ever. I don't know, top 5, right? I have a lot of games I like. It's one of my favorite games ever. And the song was super hype, super amazing. Now, what led to this was my mindset was off. I feel like I probably shouldn't even gone for that game, but my mindset around the project in general was off. And then that's when it became, the music becomes more of a chore and less of something that you love. So we are not just robots, and it's hard to just say, do this project, take all the steps, and you'll be done, right? We're still humans. We have to factor in how we feel. So what do we want? We want to avoid this burnout moment, and we want to be consistent with the things we're making while avoiding burnout. So how do we do that? We just have to recover well, okay? And I'm going to kind of go over a few points. I said recovery like an Olympian, like you're recovering like you would recover your body. I'm going to talk about things that kind of veer you off the path from even getting close to burnout. One is when you play your instrument. We're talking about play here. It kind of breeds consistency because you're not even thinking about it. So, like for me, when I started learning guitar back in 2004, wow, I wrote that down. I forgot. I had no expectations from myself aside from, hey, that song is cool, I want to play it. And I repeat that process over and over and over and over and over. And I'm sorry to all my friends that had to hear all the songs I was learning at the time. But that's why we all start, right? We are inspired by other songs, and we want to recreate them. So, it's play, right? It's not a chore. Now, it still requires work, but it's not like doing the dishes. It's the best example I can come up with. Now back to my present day music. Why did I switch to the classical guitar? The answer is simplicity. Right? It's still not easy, as evidenced by my release schedule. Like, I'm still practicing, and it takes a bit depending on how much time you have. But it is a lot easier to just have a microphone and an acoustic instrument and play it and point your microphone at it than to have multiple instruments, multiple parts, multiple videos you have to record, audio editing, all the parts so it sounds good. And there's a lot going on. And to take a page from James Clear in his book, your habits are easier to build and maintain when there's less friction involved, right? Like when I was on the Super Mario RPG train, I had to figure out new storage for all my instruments because I didn't have my own room anymore. So I put them in this. There's the closet back here, if you can see it. Put them in there on these hangers, and then I was like, okay, what part do I have to do tonight? I have to get the bass. I have to get the bass out, get the cable out, and do all this stuff. So just make it easier on yourself. So another thing, and I hope more people understand this outside of creative hobbies, you are still in a physical body, right? And you may be saying, yes, I know, but are you kind of putting your body by the wayside for the sake of some creative pursuit you're doing? Like, are you pulling all-nighters? Your body doesn't like that. Or are you just staying up late to entertain yourself because you want to? Your body doesn't like that. Are you sitting all day? Are you not walking? Are you eating a unwise choice food menu? Like, are you eating junk food? Right? Is your brain not attached to what you eat? Is why the whole brain fog thing. If I sit down and eat Thanksgiving dinner, I'm not going to be productive after that, right? So, recovery, as an example, I like to work out. Would I do a hard, like 95% weight workout for 4 hours straight? And would I do that for 7 days a week? Yeah, for like a week, and then I'd have to go to a hospital. But people that exercise or like or any like top level competitor, you understand like rest days, sleeping, having light days, having light phases or weeks, or just days off completely. So why not the same for our brains? It's hard because it's like, well, I'm not physically taxed, but your brain gets taxed, right? It's like, why you get tired after scrolling all night or like taking a test. You didn't do anything, but it was still hard. So, in the past, I kind of stumbled upon two guys. One was an author and one was a YouTuber. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and then Danko was the YouTuber, but he wrote a book, so I guess he's an author too. And they both emphasize that you don't need to work as many hours on something as you think you do, right? Danko has talked about the books that are titled Rest, and then another one called Deep Work, where I haven't read either, but I'm assuming in Rest he talks about mental recovery, and then in Deep Work, I think Cal Newport talks about how people can only really focus, like 100% focus, not checking your phone for like 4 hours. Interesting. All right, and now the last thing I was doing that was ill-advised was comparing myself. So I'm here to talk about releasing music, and right now it's going to change soon, but my focus is on YouTube, right? You know what's mentally tough is when you just go on the YouTube recommended page and see everyone and their grandmother with their own channel, all these musicians, and they probably have more views and subscribers than you. And I think this is why mental health is so bad, because outside of YouTube and being a musician, just social media makes you think that everybody's life is better than yours. Although they're just showing you like a bit of the good part of their day, but nobody's showing you like the bad parts. So you think everybody's life is great. You think everybody's content is great, despite them being consistent for the last 5 years. And then you're like, well, my stuff is awful. So when I was learning back 20 years ago, I didn't even think YouTube was a thing then. And I don't think YouTube was a thing in 2004 or 5. Like, there were videos on the internet, but it wasn't YouTube. It was just kind of all over the place. I was just playing, and I got really good within like one semester. So that just means in the fall, I got probably 80% of how good I ever was just from just working on it every day. And it was honestly just, I know nothing else to compare myself to aside from like a few educational videos or like kind of videos of the best guys. Like I'm talking like, I remember watching like Steve Vai and Yngwie Malmsteen. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be that, but let me just do my best. And I feel like I was happier back then because all I was doing is just picking up my instrument and going to work and forgetting that other people, but other creators were even out there. You know, sometimes the smaller your world is, the happier you are, right? Like, pretend you're a cowboy in the wilderness with your guitar. It's just you and your horse, and you're just playing because you like the way it sounds. Now, how do we destroy burnout? I wrote down here we're going to use the Olympic level musician recovery to end burnout. Now, going back to the whole workout analogy, what if we change your mindset from you're burning out to, or I'm overtrained, to maybe you're under recovered, right? If you're trying to build something and you keep working on it like 3 hours a day, but hitting a wall for some reason, what if you cut it back to 1 and then you just ended up never having to hit that wall and you use the rest of the time to recover, get some extra sleep, and then you can just string more days together, all right? So let's take care of ourselves, our minds and our bodies. So step 1 is kind of a reminder, okay? I'm going to talk about work and rest and the mindset around it. We're not talking about avoiding work, okay? Work has to come. And this isn't me going to say, oh, you're burning out, just take a week off, watch Netflix, eat ice cream, and take care of yourself, quote unquote. That's not. You have a day, honestly, you have a day like that, you're going to hate yourself. You're going to hate your past self because your past self indulge in the current self, making your future self not like your past self. You feel fulfilled when you work. Even more so when it's your own thing, right? This is why, like, you know, even if you clean your room or are productive at work, you kind of feel good. It brings order to your brain, and since now you have a creative outlet to work on, we're not going to just avoid it completely, right? So I want people to have this mindset as well, that imagine that the thing that you've picked, right? We're going to talk about music, but any other thing that's not your main 9 to 5, it should be something that you would be doing for the rest of your life anyway. And I would hope so, because it gives you life. Let me just go on a tangent here. Like I said, not all work is evil. People think work and they just think their job, but that's not, like, obviously there's more things that you can be working on that are not your job that like gives you life. My man, John Williams, composer, Star Wars, he's in his 90s. I don't know if he's going to retire. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. He gave up the role. This is going to be morbid. Gave up the role of Darth Vader, and then he passed away recently. And I'm just like, I feel, you know, even though you could tell his voice is like older in some of the later movies, He's the voice of Darth Vader. How cool is that? That's not something that you would quit from. And I am just like, I play guitar. I'm never going to stop. Why? Because I think it's cool. It involves work. It's not a passive activity by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives you life. I think more people need stuff like that. So since you know that, you're going to be in it for the long term. It's cliche, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. All right. So just be that 80-year-old musician, or not even that old. Like, what if you just stuck with it for 10 years, right? Just be like that person. And then, as far as rest is concerned, I don't want you to think the combination of self-care, which is honestly just self-indulgence. I want to talk about like meaningful rest, which I will get into a little bit, but it's not entertainment or junk food or scrolling all night or partying or staying up late and drinking. You're not recovering when you do those things, right? Anybody with a hangover will tell you. It's just going to come down to being boring and going to bed early. That's a spoiler for the end. All right, so that's step one, the work and rest mindset. Step two, avoiding burnout. Set a big goal, and I like big goals because they inspire you, but focus on the small steps, right? So you're in it for the long haul. You have goals along the way. The worst thing you can do is only focus on the big goal. And that's probably why people get stressed out when they watch other people, but you are so far removed from it. It may be weeks or months or years away. And then I just feel like people's brains just shut off because they're just like, wow, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it. But you do have the next few steps. So set the goal as big as you want and then ignore it and then just focus on the next thing right in front of you. Like you want to squat 600 pounds. Can you not, if you can't squat 135, don't think about 600, right? Show up to the gym. And once you've got the task of the next few steps down, you just need periods of ignoring other content creators. You can use them for inspiration or learning, like analyze like what makes them good or what am I missing that they have. But if you're starting to say, wow, my stuff is terrible, look at this guy, like ignore it for a week, put the blinders on, and then just do what you need to do and then take care of yourself. Next step is physical recovery. And I put physical first. I feel like burnout is a mental thing, but I also believe that if you are treating your body horribly, your mind will follow suit. As proof, if you had a rough day and you, went for a walk, you danced to Footloose, I bet you would feel better. Funny how that works. So I want you to find physically as many ways as possible as you can to take care of yourself. If you have to I put an off day for music or a week, I guess just not even that. If you want to be consistent, play your instrument and just play it. Like not practice, not expectation, like have fun. Okay. Or if you're really hitting a wall, just take a week off, right? What's a week in the entirety of your life? It's nothing. Like if your practice session, you're hitting a wall and if all you want to do is sit and stare into space, you probably need that time, okay? And then, the obvious stuff, sleep more, take naps, put your phone down, go to bed. If you're restless at night, easiest thing to do is just read fiction, a physical book. You should not be using your phone around nighttime. And if a book wires you down or wires you up, just like sit and think and sip tea for a bit. And when you're bored and if you're tired enough, you'll fall asleep. Okay. And then go outside more, go on walks, do push-ups, move your body because your body thrives on movement. Okay. I'm a little bit biased because I like working out, but I like working out because I like the way it makes me feel physically and then, in my head. Like I feel good. I work out in the morning and then I feel good the rest of the day. And then, of course, the last thing is mental recovery. So you have to treat your mind like you would your body that needs to recover. So I am a firm believer of shorten your work blocks if you need to, okay? Everyone, I don't know if you have an arbitrary, I need to practice this long or work this long on XYZ thing. But like break it up, like cut it up so that you have time to recover. And like little things like, figure out how to meditate. That just means you sit for 10 minutes and you work on your breathing. Just focus on it and your mind will thank you. And then a big one is digitally detox. Don't use your phone for the first hour in the morning. Try that. And then don't use it for the last hour at night. I know that's going to be hard. Read books. And they, you don't have an excuse there because you can get them at these things called libraries. But that's helped me. Like, especially in the morning thing, I do my best to like get up, go work out, and I'm just not using my phone at that time. And then your brain just kind of, if your mind runs, let it run. And it can kind of come up with ideas or just relax or just stop having so much input. That's the biggest thing. Like, we're this smart generation, but it's like we have too much input, right? So that's it. I enjoy having big goals. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but they stop serving you when they make it to where you're beating yourself up when you're not there yet. Okay. If this is of your own making, the easiest thing to do is just do a little bit every day. And you don't have to go all out with a huge expectation, so you don't run yourself into the ground, okay? It should be adding to your life, not tearing you down. The worst thing you can have is like full-time job, and then you're like, I'm going to work on music, but I hate this project. That's the wrong way to go about it, okay? So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you are watching this video, this marks the first in a new channel. I decided to split it off because I want my music channel to be a music channel, and I think it just kind of looked, not kind of, for me as a customer lens, and comparing it to other guys I look up to, guys and girls, it just looked weird to have music, long, like 30 something minute videos of talking head without me actually touching the instrument. I want to just keep it separate, okay? So keep that channel pure, and then this channel, I can dive into deeper topics because, I don't know, I haven't talked about the meaning of the name, but there's more to playing an instrument than just playing the instrument. There's a lot of discipline involved, and I realize that it's about like mindset stuff, right? Everyone talks about the mindset when it comes to the gym. I feel like the mindset comes in handy for anything that's outside of the regular, like the norm, like outside of your job, outside of school. It takes a lot to like show up and do this thing that is not related to anything aside from you just want to do it, but it still takes work. That takes a lot of mental capacity. So I want to talk about that more and apply it to more than just musicians, okay? So if you have any questions or have any ideas for videos, or you want help with your own musical or creative productivity, let me know. That's my first plug for who knows what, but I just want to get the ball rolling and help people for nothing, right? Because I like doing it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel. Check out my other channel for my music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.